Hello guys, I'm Tasha from Travelandtash, and as you can probably notice from my surroundings, I am no longer in Seoul. This video is going to be about my journey from Seoul through to Hong Kong and later here to England. I'm now located in an area called Suffolk, which is a 10-minute drive from Cambridge, and I'm actually living in a town, not a city, a town. There are elements of my routine that have stayed the same, like my morning and evening routine, but much of the middle part of my day is so completely different. And of course, I'm in a town that has such a much smaller population by comparison to Seoul. A road here, and beside the road is a track for where the horses walk. So this here, where this cyclist is, this is actually specifically for horses. I haven't seen any of the horses yet, but I can see some horse poop, so I know that they were here earlier. Actually, ooh, there's lots of horse poop here. Newmarket is famous for raising racehorses, and as a result it's not uncommon to see horses when you're just out and about here in the town. It's now been 5 days since I left Seoul. I left Seoul on Sunday and today is Friday. I want to tell you about my journey. I literally had an hour's sleep because I think that I was just really stressed about not just flying but just the fact that I was moving as well, and so I think I fell asleep at around 6 and then my alarm went off at 7 AM. Before we start, let me just tell you about this. So here's my wallet. Usually it's filled with Korean credit and debit cards. This is my wallet right now. There's like, I was going to say Korean cash, UK cash, British sterling, and like no credit cards, no checking cards, nothing. It feels strange to have a kind of really empty wallet. And I also understand everyone. I understand every damn word, and I think I'm just not used to that. So I want to tell you about Sunday morning. My friend Danish was meant to be turning up at 10. My friend Victoria was meant to be meeting me at 9 to kind of just collect a bunch of stuff that I was not going to be taking. So this was like, it wasn't just getting my stuff and going to the airport, it was throwing out everything at the last minute that definitely wouldn't be coming, including stuff in my fridge, stuff that I thought that nobody would take. And basically my buddy, she had a problem and she actually couldn't turn up. And so I ended up having to leave the apartment with just some stuff scattered around for her to collect, whatever it is that she wanted to take, and leaving the key on the table for the landlord. And then my friend Danish and we went to the airport. We came across some traffic and I found myself just getting like nervous and just like, you know, what if I missed the connection, or, you know, stuff like that. Managed to get there in really good time and even had to wait for check-in. My friend Yuna and her daughter joined us at the airport, which was super lovely. And when I went to actually check in, there was literally like, there was Danish, Yuna's daughter and myself. And so when I went to check in, they were like, how many of you are checking in? And I was just like, just me. It was really, it was lovely because it felt so nice to just have, you know, a few people to come and say goodbye to me as I was leaving. It was just, you know. So I said goodbye to them at security after we all had a little coffee together. And after going through security, I had to give in my my ARC, which is basically my E2 visa that teachers have, that allow us to work in Korea. And it felt kind of strange just giving that visa and just being like, and here you go, knowing that I wouldn't come back to work anytime soon. And then I went through into the departures area, duty free, and it was an awesome performance because Incheon Airport in Seoul have one of the best, probably one of the best airports in the world. Like, it's really entertaining. There's things to do, even if it's Sunday. Like, there was a royal performance of like the King and Queen going through the airport, and I was in a store, like they have a Korean heritage culture store where you can pick up little souvenirs, and I was in there looking at their stuff, and then I just got distracted by this performance. And anyway, I get on the flight. This is Cathay Pacific from Seoul. This was at 3:40 in the afternoon, arriving into Hong Kong. I think it was 3.5 hours later. And the meal on there was actually really nice. They gave like little sausage patties, and I don't recall what else came with it, but I remember that it was actually really good. Hong Kong Airport was, Sunday night is so boring there. There's just like nothing open in terms of connections. I found myself like listening to the language, and I was like, I think this is Cantonese, it's not Mandarin. I don't know much about China. I studied very little bit about the Cultural Revolution, the communist period. I can actually identify between Mandarin and Cantonese, even though I've never lived there. I think it was just interesting to see how different Hong Kong people are from Korean, from Seoulites or people from Seoul. For example, like, I had a huge piece of luggage, and one fellow helped me pull it down. And anyway, after about 4 or 5 hours in the airport at Hong Kong, we get on the flight at like 11:30 at night Hong Kong time. There was an hour time difference. Hong Kong are 1 hour behind Seoul or South Korea, Korean Standard Time. Get on the aeroplane. Oh my god. 13.5 hours. And this was, I think it was an Airbus 350. The seats were very narrow. I had a lot of legroom, which was really nice, because when I booked it, I phoned, and the lady actually put me on a really nice seat with lots of legroom for both flights. It was seat 40, which was right beside the window. This is an overnight flight, because I was meant to arrive into England at about 5:30 in the morning. I couldn't sleep for the life of me. It was just... I'm going to walk and talk so that you can see a little bit more about this little town that I live in. One interesting point of comparison between both of the flights was that the Seoul to Hong Kong flight, like literally 33% was not full, but from Hong Kong to London Heathrow, it was 100% full. And it was just like, woof, I just find it really, really hard to sleep on an aeroplane, particularly sitting up, even though I really, really needed to, because 13.5 hours, Oh, look, there's a cemetery here. Look at this. It makes sense because we have a church literally right behind us over here. So usually churches have graveyards on their grounds. I guess this one's just separated by an alley. I haven't been back here before, so I'm not sure what we're going to find. I'm actually walking past some pubs. I didn't even know these existed, or that you can actually come back here. Yeah, I'm on the high street. I see. So I was right beside the White Hart Hotel. This is the local post office for this town. these like push button signals have been around since I was a child, and nothing has changed. When I was at Heathrow Airport, the first thing that goes through my mind, right, is the fact that by comparison to Incheon Airport, it looks like it's like 40, like 100 years old. Like literally, because Incheon Airport is gleaming and sparkling and new, but Heathrow looks like it hasn't had a facelift as long as I've been alive. You know, I walk through. It's dark. The alleys that move visitors through to the security area and passport control, they're really narrow. They haven't done anything to like widen those passages. They're dark. You know, like the seating area was just all like ripped and just really run down, and I thought, goodness gracious. I'm just going to show you, by the way, what we've got right here. This clearly was a particularly famous horse, racehorse, Hyperion, that lived for 30 years from 1930 to 1960. One of the things, other than the fact that the airport was quite run down, that surprised me was that you can just walk into any place and not wear masks. Like when I was in Heathrow, like everybody coming off the flight was wearing masks. But then when we began to converge with other people that were coming off of flights, I noticed that they weren't wearing masks, and I was like, they're not wearing a mask in an airport. And I was just like, oh my god. And you know, I was really I felt reluctant to like take mine off, even though, you know, technically you don't have to wear a mask inside in England anymore. And just getting used to that was just, you know, I think I finally removed it in the airport, but I did it with a huge amount of relief, because I'd been in a mask for like 24 hours, you know, the overall journey of, you know, the 2 different planes plus the, you know, the 5-hour or so wait in Hong Kong. You know, I've just been in a mask for a long time, and to just finally be able to just take it off in the airport is just... And of course, you know, I haven't been able to take off my mask in a subway or inside a store in Korea for 2 years, like nearly 2.5 years. So, you know, to now be able to walk into locations, like currently, like I'm standing outside a charity shop. This specializes, this is St. Nicholas's Hospice Care, and I can actually just walk into the shop right now without a mask on, and just for me to be able to do that is just, it is unbelievable. Cafe Nero is a very popular cafe that you'll find all over the UK, or at least I have in my travels, and it's one of my favourite places to come and get a coffee. I think it's Italian, yeah, it's Italian, the Italian Coffee Co. Cafe Nero, which obviously means, you know, black coffee. My brother arrived about half hour later, and by the time that we actually finally arrived in Newmarket, it was nearly 11 a.m. So I ultimately, what was initially a 24-hour travel, ended up being closer to 30 hours, and I was shattered, but now I'm completely over the jet lag. I feel amazing being here. I mean, it's just beautiful. I just happen to be in one of the most beautiful towns in England. They're very, very close to Cambridge. Oh, let's go quickly. So just outside Cafe Nero, a fella started chatting to me. He invited me to have a coffee with him, and so I've now had 1.5 cups of coffee and I'm extremely wired. So my channel very soon is going to be taking you through a brief history of Newmarket, which is the town where I'm currently located in, and also an introduction to Cambridge and the history and locations, the special locations in and around the city of Cambridge, which is absolutely stunning. I haven't been there yet on this trip. The intention is to get there within the next week or two.